So I made a video, I think this video is like an hour long, on exactly how to calculate your offer in compromise to the IRS. You can see the thumbnail down the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can look it up on YouTube, look it up. Video is a couple years old. Some of the numbers, the IRS standard figures, are a couple years old, so you want to update those for the current year, whatever year you're watching the video. But it's a solid video. It's the most comprehensive thing, I think, out there on exactly how an offer in compromise is calculated from the taxpayer's perspective. And commenting on that video, Blue Cloud Builders LLC says, "This is great, thank you. I have a question. In the calculation, would I include assets of my sole proprietor LLC tax as a pass-through?" And the answer, Blue Cloud Builders, is yes. Matter of fact, if we go over to the 433A itself, or 433A OIC, excuse me, which is what you're going to submit along with your offer in compromise. This is basically a full disclosure into your financial situation. It asks you here in Section 5 for business asset information. List business assets owned, including bank accounts, digital assets such as cryptocurrency, tools, books, machinery, equipment, business vehicles, real property that's owned / leased / rented, right? And so you would indicate your business assets, your business bank account here in Section 5, Blue Cloud Builders, because this is a single member LLC, sole proprietorship, something you report directly on Schedule C. Now, if this was not just a sole proprietorship, single member LLC, disregarded entity, let's say you had a partnership, right? Or a corporation, okay? That's a different story. Because check this out. If we go, keep scrolling here, where does this say? Okay. Other things, in addition to the 433A OIC, you got to include, in addition to this Form 656, of course. Check this out. Complete a Form 433B collection information statement for businesses if you or your spouse have an interest in a business entity other than a sole proprietorship. Okay? So, I know in your case, Blue Cloud Builders, you say it's a sole proprietorship, so you wouldn't have to do the 433B. You just put, your business assets in Section 5 of the 433A OIC. But if anyone's out there and they have a corporation or they have an interest in a partnership, a multi-member LLC, then a whole separate form called 433B has to be completed using that business entity's information. This is all to say that Blue Cloud Builders, yes, the IRS does take into account assets you have in your business, okay? Now, let me say this. Since you're including your income from this business, I assume it's Blue Cloud Builders LLC. I assume that might be a construction company or some kind of contractor. Because you're obviously including the income from that business in your offer and compromise calculations, there is an exclusion for income producing assets. So let's say you have a great big piece of machinery, it costs $1 million, right? Let's say $100,000. Vehicle, something. And you have $50,000 of equity, and they're gonna do the quick sale calculation, right? So let's say you make or it's worth $100,000 times 20% is $80,000. Let's say you owe $50,000 on it. You have $30,000 of includable equity for OIC purposes in that vehicle. Well, if that vehicle is only used to make money for you in your business, the IRS cannot talk out of both sides of its mouth, make you include the income from that business in the calculation of a reasonable collection potential for OIC purposes, and make you include the equity in that vehicle that you used to make the money, right? Because if you didn't have the vehicle, you couldn't make the money. So what we do on these offers and compromise for business owners, we don't put the equity in income producing assets, right? Like a piece of machinery, something that's clearly business and used in the business and used to generate income in the business. Okay. So, really what the IRS is looking for here is like cash or cash equivalents you're trying to hide away in a business bank account, right? To make you look poor as a person. Okay. Now, the IRS is smarter than that, right? They're not going to let you just stash money away to business bank account because it's in the business's EIN rather than your SSN. Say, oh, I guess we can't include that in the offer in compromise. No, they look for this stuff. We submitted an offer recently for somebody. IRS came back and said, hey, you didn't tell us about this business bank statement for this LLC that he owns in New York. And we're like, we didn't know about this LLC. The client didn't tell us about it. We asked the client about it. He's like, oh, yeah, that's an LLC I had years ago. I just get started investing in real estate. Never got off the ground, blah, blah, blah. He had forgotten about the LLC. IRS found out about it, right? Because theoretically, if he had set up a business bank account for that entity, he could have just, let's say he was sitting on a whole ton of cash. Let's say he had $1 million in cash. He could have easily paid the IRS off. He could have just moved that cash to the business bank account, try to pull the wool over the IRS's eyes. Right, IRS is smarter than that, right? So they will ask about business bank accounts for LLCs that you own if you don't include it in the initial paperwork that you give them. On that note, some people also try to get smart and transfer assets to friends or family in an attempt to look poor in the eyes of the IRS. That is called a dissipated asset, dissipation of assets. That is something the IRS is privy to as well, folks. So anyway. Blue Cloud Builders, I hope I answered your question. I hope I answered this question for any of you out there who are wondering the same thing. If you owe the IRS at least $10,000 or your state at least $10,000, please give us a call. Schedule your free consultation here at Choice Tax Relief, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or fill out the form on our website, choicetaxrelief.com, and we will reach out to you. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I have some other videos here on the left-hand side of your screen for your viewing pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.